My name is Sarah, and I'm 33 years old. Life hasn't always been easy, especially since becoming a single mom to my amazing daughter, Lily. The day I found the letter hidden in my daughter's storybook was the day I realized my mother had been fighting for us from beyond the grave. Before I share my story, let me know where you're watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever felt invisible in your own family. Trust me, my story will give you the courage you need. Lily is 8, with a heart as big as the sky and a smile that could melt glaciers. She's also incredibly sweet, sometimes a little too quiet, and I worry she gets overlooked. Especially by some of our family. Lily had a bond with my mom, her Grandma Rose, that was truly special. Grandma Rose always saw Lily, really saw her, in a way that others didn't. They spent hours together, reading stories, baking cookies, and tending to Grandma Rose's garden. Lily loved helping her plant flowers, her small hands carefully patting down the soil. Grandma Rose would tell her stories about each flower, making them sound like magical beings. Grandma Rose always made Lily feel important, like she was the most special person in the world. She'd listen intently to Lily's stories about school, her drawings, and her dreams. That connection meant everything to Lily, and to me. It was a bright spot in our lives, a constant source of love and comfort. I just never imagined that comfort would soon be replaced by something else entirely. Something complicated. The call came on a Tuesday morning. Grandma Rose had passed away peacefully in her sleep. It felt like a punch to the gut. Lily was devastated, and so was I. We both knew Grandma Rose was getting older, but somehow, we thought she'd always be there. A few weeks later, the day of the will reading arrived. Grandma Rose had a large estate, a beautiful house, investments, and antiques collected over a lifetime. It was more than I ever expected. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much for myself. I was more concerned about Lily. I hoped Grandma Rose had thought of her, maybe left her a small something to remember her by. As we drove to the lawyer's office, Lily was quiet, clutching a small, stuffed bear Grandma Rose had given her. I tried to reassure her, telling her that no matter what happened, we would always have the memories we shared with Grandma Rose. I felt a mix of hope and nervousness. Hope that Lily would be remembered, and nervousness about the rest of my family. My aunt and uncle had never been particularly fond of Lily or me. They always seemed to think they deserved more, and I had a feeling they expected to inherit everything. The lawyer, a stern-looking man with a voice that seemed to echo in the quiet room, began to read. He droned on about assets, properties, and investments, listing names and percentages. My heart pounded with each passing clause. I waited, and waited, for Lily's name. But it never came. The lawyer finished reading, and the silence in the room was deafening. Lily's name was nowhere to be found. Nothing. Complete and utter omission. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. How could Grandma Rose have left Lily out? After their special connection, their shared moments? It didn't make sense. I glanced at my aunt and uncle. They exchanged smug looks, barely concealing their triumphant smiles. My cousins, equally greedy, mirrored their parents' expressions. They thought they had won. They thought they were getting everything. I felt a surge of anger, but also a deep, crushing sadness. I couldn't understand it. Lily, bless her heart, didn't fully grasp the implications, but I saw the confusion in her eyes, the unspoken question of why Grandma Rose hadn't thought of her. It broke my heart into a million pieces. I knew I had to stay strong for her, but inside, I was crumbling. The drive home was silent and heavy. The weight of disappointment hung in the air. I tried to put on a brave face for Lily, but I could feel tears prickling behind my eyes. I just kept replaying the will reading in my head, searching for some explanation, some reason why Grandma Rose would have excluded Lily. Back at our small apartment, the silence felt even more profound. Everything seemed dull and gray. I busied myself making dinner, trying to create a sense of normalcy, but it was difficult. Lily sat at the kitchen table, unusually quiet. She was clutching a book to her chest, a worn copy of The Secret Garden. Grandma Rose had given it to her years ago, when Lily was just learning to read. It was one of their favorite books to read together. They'd spend hours lost in its pages, imagining the hidden garden and the magic it held. Lily loved the story of finding beauty and life in unexpected places. Seeing her with that book, her small hands tracing the cover, made my heart ache even more. It was a tangible reminder of the bond she had shared with Grandma Rose, a bond that the will seemed to deny. I sighed, wondering how I was going to explain everything to her. How could I make her understand? I was chopping vegetables, my mind still reeling from the day's events, when I heard Lily gasp. "Mom," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Look." I turned to see her holding The Secret Garden open. A single, folded page had fallen out and was now resting on the table. It looked old, the paper yellowed and fragile. I walked over, my heart starting to beat faster. What could it be? Lily carefully unfolded the page. It was handwritten, the familiar looping script instantly recognizable. Grandma Rose's handwriting. My breath caught in my throat. What was this doing inside the book? Why hadn't we seen it before? The ink was slightly faded, but the words were still clear. My hands trembled as I reached for the page, my mind racing with possibilities. Could this be some kind of message? A hidden note? Or something more? A sense of anticipation, mixed with a healthy dose of skepticism, washed over me. I knew my aunt and uncle wouldn't give up easily, but this could change everything. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "Let's read it together, sweetie," I said, my voice barely a whisper. The air crackled with unspoken questions and a glimmer of hope. I took a deep breath and began to read aloud, my voice shaky at first. "To whomever finds this," it started, "know that my love for my granddaughter, Lily, knows no bounds." My heart skipped a beat. As I continued, the words became clearer, more precise. It was a codicil, an addition to her will. Grandma Rose had specifically written that her antique jewelry collection, a treasure trove of family heirlooms, was to be given to Lily. But that wasn't all. The page also stated that a significant trust fund had been established for Lily's future, to be used for her education and well-being. I stopped reading, stunned. I looked at Lily, her eyes wide with confusion and dawning understanding. "Grandma Rose left this for you, sweetie," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "She wanted you to have these things." A wave of relief washed over me, followed by an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Grandma Rose hadn't forgotten Lily. She had provided for her, in her own secret way. But I also knew this wasn't the end of the story. This discovery was going to create a whole new set of problems, especially with my greedy relatives. The battle had just begun. The initial joy quickly morphed into a cold, hard realization. This codicil was going to ignite a war. My aunt and uncle, who had been so smug and self-assured just hours before, would be furious. They had clearly assumed they were getting everything. The house, the investments, the antiques, all theirs. Now, a significant portion of the estate was earmarked for Lily. And knowing them, they wouldn't take it lying down. They would fight tooth and nail to invalidate the codicil, to claim it was a forgery, or that Grandma Rose wasn't in her right mind when she wrote it. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. I was a single mom, barely scraping by as it was. I didn't have the resources or the energy to fight a protracted legal battle. But I couldn't let them bully Lily out of what was rightfully hers. Grandma Rose had wanted her to have these things, and I was going to honor her wishes, no matter what it took. I looked at Lily, her face a mixture of confusion and hope. "Sweetie," I said, "things are about to get a little complicated. But I promise you, I'll do everything I can to protect what Grandma Rose wanted for you." I knew it was a promise I had to keep, even if it meant facing the wrath of my own family. The next morning, I called a lawyer, a family friend named Mr. Abernathy. I explained the situation, my voice tight with anxiety. He listened patiently, asking clarifying questions about the will, the codicil, and my family dynamics. "This could be tricky, Sarah," he said, after I finished. Codicils are legally binding, but they have to meet certain requirements. The handwriting needs to be authenticated, and it needs to be clear that your mother intended this to be a formal addition to her will. He explained that the codicil would need to be properly witnessed, or at least have enough evidence to prove its authenticity and Grandma Rose's intent. He also warned me that my aunt and uncle would likely challenge it. However, he continued, if we can prove the handwriting is genuine and that your mother was of sound mind when she wrote it, we have a strong case. He agreed to take on the case, assuring me that he would do everything he could to protect Lily's interests. I felt a flicker of hope. Mr. Abernathy was experienced and trustworthy. With him on our side, maybe we had a chance. But I knew the road ahead would be long and difficult. The battle for Lily's inheritance had officially begun. It didn't take long. Within days, my aunt and uncle filed a formal challenge to the codicil. They claimed it was a forgery, concocted by me to steal what was rightfully theirs. They even suggested that I had somehow manipulated Grandma Rose into writing it, preying on her supposed declining mental state. The accusations were outrageous and hurtful. Grandma Rose was sharp as a tack until the very end. And I would never, ever, forge a document or take advantage of her. But they were determined to discredit the codicil at any cost. They hired their own lawyer, a slick, expensive-looking man who sent us a barrage of legal letters. They demanded handwriting samples from Grandma Rose, medical records, anything they could get their hands on to prove their case. The atmosphere at family gatherings, already strained, became toxic. My cousins, once friendly, now avoided eye contact. The aunt and uncle shot daggers at us whenever we crossed paths. It was clear that they saw Lily and me as the enemy, standing between them and a hefty inheritance. The stress was overwhelming. I was juggling work, motherhood, and now a legal battle that threatened to consume everything. But I refused to back down. I knew Grandma Rose had left that codicil for a reason, and I wouldn't let my family's greed and bitterness take it away from Lily. The legal battle was a grueling process. It felt like every aspect of our lives was being scrutinized and dissected. Mr. Abernathy worked tirelessly, gathering evidence to support the codicil's authenticity. He collected old letters, cards, and documents written by Grandma Rose, anything that could be used for comparison. Handwriting experts were brought in, poring over the codicil and other samples, meticulously analyzing every stroke and curve. The experts needed to verify that the handwriting was definitely Grandma Rose's. I spent hours answering questions, providing details about Grandma Rose's life, her personality, and her relationship with Lily. My aunt and uncle, meanwhile, were relentless. They continued to spread rumors and innuendo, trying to paint Grandma Rose as senile and easily influenced. They even contacted old acquaintances, trying to dig up dirt or find someone who would testify against her character. Despite the stress and the negativity, I refused to be intimidated. I was fighting for Lily, for Grandma Rose's wishes, and for the truth. I knew in my heart that Grandma Rose had written that codicil out of love and a desire to provide for her granddaughter. And I wouldn't let anyone take that away from us. Each day was a struggle, but the thought of Lily's future kept me going. Sometimes, late at night when Lily was asleep, I'd find myself lost in memories of Grandma Rose and Lily. I'd remember the way Grandma Rose's eyes would light up whenever Lily entered the room. The soft, almost imperceptible smile that played on her lips as she watched Lily play. I remembered one afternoon, when Lily was about 5, Grandma Rose had shown her a tiny bird's nest hidden in a rose bush. Lily had been so careful, so gentle, as she peered inside, her eyes wide with wonder. Grandma Rose had patiently explained about the eggs, about the baby birds that would soon hatch, instilling in Lily a love and respect for nature that has stayed with her. And then there was the secret garden. Grandma Rose had told Lily that the book was special because it taught that even when things seem lost or broken, there's always hope for new life and beauty. She said the garden represented the potential within each of us, waiting to be discovered and nurtured. I remembered Grandma Rose telling me, when Lily was born, that Lily reminded her of a delicate flower, needing sunshine and love to bloom. And I knew, deep down, that the codicil was her way of ensuring that Lily would always have that sunshine, that she would always have the resources to flourish, regardless of what life threw her way. Those memories fueled my resolve. Despite her young age, Lily seemed to understand the conflict better than anyone. She saw the strain on my face, the worry lines etched around my eyes. She heard the hushed phone calls, the tense conversations with Mr. Abernathy. One evening, as I was working late at the kitchen table, Lily came up to me and wrapped her arms around my neck. "Mommy," she whispered, "it's okay. Grandma Rose loved us. That's all that matters." Her simple words cut through the noise and the negativity. She was right. Grandma Rose's love was the most important thing, more valuable than any inheritance. It was a reminder that even though the family was divided, our bond, forged in love and shared memories, remained unbroken. Lily also reminded me of the lessons from The Secret Garden. She'd say, "Mommy, Grandma Rose always said that even when things look sad, there's always something beautiful growing underneath. We just have to find it." Her innocent wisdom was a source of strength and comfort. Her unwavering support gave me the courage to keep fighting. It was a reminder of what was truly at stake, not just money or possessions, but the legacy of love and kindness that Grandma Rose had instilled in us. Lily's presence was a constant source of light, guiding me through the darkness. After months of legal wrangling and expert analysis, the moment of truth finally arrived. The handwriting experts confirmed, without a doubt, that the codicil was indeed written by Grandma Rose. It was a major victory, but the battle wasn't over yet. Mr. Abernathy then presented compelling evidence to demonstrate that Grandma Rose was of sound mind when she wrote the codicil. He produced letters and documents showing her mental acuity, as well as testimony from friends and neighbors who attested to her sharp intellect and clear thinking. He also highlighted the deep bond between Grandma Rose and Lily, emphasizing that Grandma Rose had always intended to provide for her granddaughter. He presented photos, stories, and anecdotes that painted a vivid picture of their loving relationship, making it clear that the codicil was a natural extension of Grandma Rose's affection for Lily. The evidence was overwhelming. Even my aunt and uncle seemed to realize that their case was crumbling. Their lawyer looked defeated, his arguments growing weaker and more desperate. I sat in the courtroom, my heart pounding, knowing that we were on the verge of a breakthrough. Finally, justice was within reach. The judge, a kind-faced woman who had listened intently to all the evidence, delivered her verdict. She ruled in favor of Lily, validating the codicil and upholding Grandma Rose's wishes. A wave of relief washed over me, so powerful it almost knocked me off my feet. Lily squeezed my hand, her eyes shining with joy. We had won. Grandma Rose's love and intentions had been honored. Justice had prevailed. But the victory came at a cost. My aunt and uncle were furious, their faces contorted with rage and resentment. They stormed out of the courtroom without a word, their lawyer trailing behind them. The family relationships, already strained, were now likely broken beyond repair. My cousins, once friendly, now looked away, unable to meet my gaze. The inheritance had driven a wedge between us, severing ties that had been forged over a lifetime. It was a painful realization, a reminder of the destructive power of greed and bitterness. While I was overjoyed that Lily's future was secure, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of sadness. The family I had known was gone, replaced by anger and resentment. But I knew I had done the right thing, that I had honored Grandma Rose's wishes and protected Lily's interests, even if it meant sacrificing those relationships. With the legal battle behind us, Lily and I had to decide what to do with the inheritance. We talked about it for hours, weighing our options and considering what Grandma Rose would have wanted. We both agreed that we wanted to use the money wisely, in a way that would honor her memory and make a positive impact on the world. Lily suggested donating a portion to a children's literacy program. She remembered how much Grandma Rose loved reading to her and how important she thought it was for all children to have access to books. I loved the idea. It was a perfect way to pay tribute to Grandma Rose's passion for reading and to help other children discover the joy of stories. We decided to donate a significant amount to a local organization, ensuring that countless kids would have the opportunity to learn and grow. We also made sure to secure Lily's future, investing a portion of the trust fund to cover her education and other needs. I wanted her to have the best possible start in life, just as Grandma Rose had envisioned. It was a way to ensure that Lily would always have the sunshine and love she needed to bloom, just like the flower Grandma Rose always said she was. The rest, we decided, would be used to improve our lives and give us opportunities we never thought possible. Years have passed since the legal battle ended. The wounds from the family conflict have slowly begun to heal, though the scars remain. My aunt and uncle remain distant, but I've learned to accept that some relationships are not meant to be salvaged. Lily is now a bright and thriving teenager, excelling in school and pursuing her passions with unwavering enthusiasm. She still cherishes the secret garden, keeping it safe on her bookshelf as a reminder of Grandma Rose's love and wisdom. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, I sit with Lily and read aloud from the book. We talk about the hidden garden, about the power of hope and resilience, and about the enduring bonds of love and family. I reflect on the unexpected turn of events, on the shocking will reading, the hidden codicil, and the tense legal battle that followed. It was a challenging time, filled with stress and uncertainty. But it also taught us valuable lessons about the importance of standing up for what is right, of honoring the wishes of loved ones, and of finding strength in each other. Lily and I are happy and secure. We have each other, we have the memories of Grandma Rose, and we have the knowledge that even amidst conflict, love and family can endure. And that, I realize, is the greatest inheritance of all. The garden of our lives continues to bloom.